So you want to be lean all year round?
What's up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to educate you on health and social well-being. And today, guys, it's another shirtless video. But as usual, anytime I'm shirtless, you guys know I have a reason. The reason being is that this video is all about how you can stay lean all year round. And for a lot of you, you've been subbed for a while, you already know that I stay relatively lean all year round. But for those of you where this may be like one of the first videos you see of me, it makes sense that you kind of have an idea of what my physique looks like, so you know that I'm not like, wearing a shirt and talking about, oh yeah, you can be lean all year round, when I myself am not even that lean. So that's the whole person being shirtless. Now, I get this question a lot. And the reason I haven't made a video over it, the reason I've just been answering it directly instead of putting a whole video over it, is just because I personally think that a lot of people asking this question are people who are kind of new to the weightlifting scene. And I think it's very important for people to understand that you should spend the majority of your time lifting like in a surplus. You should try to spend the majority of your time building as much as you can if your goal is to maximize muscle growth. Whether you're in a really hardcore bulk where you let yourself put on a little bit of extra fat, or if you're lean bulking, I believe the majority of lifters' time should be in a surplus, especially when you first start, especially those first few years, really just focusing on building the base. And the second reason is because I think it's very important for natural lifters to understand the difference between being lean and shredded. I know I've said this and explained this several times on this channel, but I cannot express it enough, guys. If you want to be lean, that is okay. If you want to be lean all year round, that is okay. I'm going to explain to you guys how you can do that, but there is absolutely zero reason that you as a natural lifter should ever want to be shredded. Unless you're, a natural bodybuilder and you're competing, getting ready to go on stage, then I can understand. But even with that, you have to understand that you have to be a whole lot smarter about your prep and how you go about it than people who are on drugs, and understanding that once that prep is over, you need to gradually build yourself back up to maintenance to a healthy body fat percentage. In the same way, guys, that there's several health issues with being overweight due to body fat, there are health issues with being underweight due to body fat as well. So basically the way we define it is that lean, in my mind, is pretty much anything, usually depending on how you're building, how much muscle you have, something between like 10, maybe even up to like 15% body fat. Because some people can look relatively lean even at that high percentage of a body fat, depending on how much muscle mass they build. But anything that's under 10%, excluding a few genetic outliers who can maybe walk around at 8%, you don't ever want to be under 10% as a natural lifter, just for the sake of your overall health, your well-being, and the fact that you're not going to look the way that you usually think you are. You're not going to look all hard and dense and shredded and full the way that a lot of drug users are, excluding once again a couple of genetic outliers. Most of us are just going to look small and depleted. So staying around 10%, 10-12%, that's a good amount for leanness. Like I said, some people even as far as 15 for like some of my bigger, more muscular, thicker dudes out there who put on a lot of muscle mass. Anyway, now that we've made that distinction, let's get right into how to be lean all year round, guys. So there's a few ways to go about it, but the main thing and the easiest way to go about it, guys, is to simply get to a point where you've built enough muscle mass to where when you're at a caloric maintenance level, you still look relatively lean, meaning you don't have to be in a deficit. You can just chill at maintenance, eat a normal maintenance amount of calories to maintain whatever your current physique is, and that you'll stay relatively lean. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now, right? Like I'm currently at a caloric maintenance level, and the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm staying around my maintenance level weight because I have an upcoming powerlifting meet. Now, those of you know that I still bulk. I just did a bulk, before I started powerlifting prep for this, but that was my first official actual lean bulk. And then last year was my first time trying to do like just a regular bulk, which still kind of turned out to be a lean bulk anyway, but I wasn't trying necessarily to keep it lean. It was just my first time doing an actual bulk. Reason being, guys, is that I spent the majority of my time lifting, like just building my body through gradual body recomposition. It's a lot slower. It's much slower. It's you're not going to put on muscle mass anywhere near as fast as if you're in a surplus for a lot of the time. But the good thing is even if you're, even though you may not be building muscle as fast, you're gonna stay relatively lean. And now this can, depend on how you go about it. And this is what I mean. If you're someone like me where you started off like, very skinny, then it's pretty easy to do that, right? As I explained before, guys, usually you can't burn fat and build muscle at the same time. The only exceptions being people who are very overweight or obese due to body fat, because they can be in a deficit but still be building muscle. Why? Because your body's gonna pull from your fat storages to give energies to building muscle mass. Since you're in a deficit, it can't get it from you being in a caloric surplus, so it takes from your fat. And the other exception being people who are brand new to weightlifting, because your body's not used to the stimulus. Your muscles pretty much have no choice but to grow lot in that first year. That's where like beginner gains come from. So if you're not giving enough calories from a surplus, then it's going to take the energy from somewhere else, being your fat storage. That's why I usually recommend for people who are skinny fat that you don't have to necessarily go in a surplus or a deficit. You can stay around your maintenance level weight, just your maintenance level calories. Just make sure that you're, keeping your protein intake, high enough for you, which isn't as high as what most people think. You guys already know I've done a video over that, but do that, focus on lifting and progressing in the gym, and you'll see your body change in the way that you want it to. So for me, I spent a lot of times just like, body recomposition. I was always pretty much just at a maintenance or maybe like a very slight intuitive surplus, because I wasn't tracking when I first started lifting weights or anything like that. I was just trying to get stronger in the gym. That was my focus. Eat when I'm hungry, get stronger in the gym, make sure that, I was eating my protein, everything like that. So due to that, I was able to just gradually build my body up over time through more of a body recomposition. Now, for those of you who are maybe a little bit heavier, you're more overweight, you have body fat that you want to lose, I definitely recommend get to a healthy body fat percentage. Get to that point where you're as lean as you want to be, and then go back to building, be at like a nice maintenance or go in a nice surplus. So basically, the two main ways to go about it, like I know it seems a little off, I'm trying to give you guys all the details, but the two main ways to go about being lean all year round is simply this. Whenever you do decide to bulk, because that's usually the only time after you have a nice amount of muscle mass, the only time that people usually get like a little bit of fat on them is when they're bulking. Whenever you bulk, simply decide to lean bulk. I'll leave a link in the description down below where I've explained how I go about lean bulking, because if you do that, if you're lean bulking, if you're in a very gradual surplus, gradually putting on mass over weeks and months at a time, then it's really easy to gauge and make sure that you're not putting on any excess or unnecessary body fat. Once again, there's nothing wrong with doing just a traditional bulk if you want to. Mind you, I'm personally against just bulking so hardcore necessarily where you're just putting on unnecessary amounts of fat, but it's okay if it's not quite a lean bulk, if it's more of a traditional bulk where you don't mind putting a little bit more body fat on, if you get to around maybe like 20% body fat. That's all based off your personal goals. You're definitely going to put your size and mass on a lot faster that way, but the con of it is that you're not going to necessarily be lean all year round. So with lean bulks, it allows you to more effectively do that. Even when you're like in a surplus and trying to build a little bit of muscle mass, you can still stay relatively lean. The other way of going about it, guys, and this is the way that I recommend for people who are just like, you've been lifting for a few years already, is simply get to the point where you're comfortable being around your maintenance level weight. If you've built a good amount of size over your few years, you build some good, solid, dense muscle mass, then you should be able to get to the point where you get back to around your maintenance level weight, maybe a little under what you're used to being, and then just maintain that. You don't have to be in a crazy deficit to where you're trying to be shredded all year round, but just walk around at maintenance. No, you're not gonna put on a whole lot more size that way. Even if you gradually keep getting stronger in the gym, you may put on a little bit over months, and then if you've been for a few years, it's gonna take even longer. You may put on like, a few ounces on at a time, but once again, you'll be lean all year round. Like I'm at the point now, guys, I've been lifting for 6 years, doing calisthenics for 12, where I can easily just stay around maintenance and just look this way year round, no issues. If I put on any type of size, it's gonna just be very, very, very minimum amounts, which is why I prefer to lean bulk, so that way I can still try to put on, what little bit of muscle growth I still have left potentially. However, that's really all it comes down to, guys. The reason that a lot of beginners can't do that is because a lot of beginners are at the point where, think about it, if you're really skinny and you just try to stay at maintenance all year round, well, you're just gonna stay skinny. You're gonna be lean, yes, but you're probably not gonna be as thick muscularly as what you wanna be. And if you're someone where you're a little bit heftier, you obviously can't just stay at maintenance, because why? Well, your maintenance currently, what you're maintaining, has a lot of excess fat and stuff like that. So either way, whether it comes from you like starting heavier and you have to lose a lot of weight and then try to build a base from there, or if you start really skinny and just start building your base from there, regardless, you're gonna have to put on a good amount of muscle mass. And that's why I recommend people don't even worry about trying to be lean all year round until maybe you've been lifting anywhere from between 3 to 5 years. Really, I'm pushing more for the 5 years, but after 3 years, some people may be content. That's the thing, guys. Different people have different goals. Some of you may not necessarily be trying to be the biggest you can possibly be. Maybe you just want a nice, decent physique that you can maintain. And after 3 years of consistent lifting and consistent training, I'm not telling you you're gonna be ready to step on stage or be a bodybuilder, but you can have a pretty solid physique. If you're training correctly, eating the way that you need to be to maximize muscle growth in those 3 years, your body can change a lot. You may be like, all right, I'm happy with this and I just wanna maintain it. And that's all it comes down to, guys. Like, just always remember that, caloric maintenance. If you wanna maintain the physique you're at, you just have to find the maintenance level calories for that physique and stay there. And honestly, if you were trying to be shredded, it'd be the same thing. It's like you have to take in a certain amount of calories, right, under maintenance to maintain a certain amount of shreddedness. you know, once you get under like 10% body fat. Well, the key is just being at a certain amount of maintenance level calories that are gonna allow you to maintain being around, you know, 10 to 12% body fat. For me, that's about 3,000 calories a day. So long as I'm staying around that caloric range, this is what my physique is gonna look like. Simple as that. But once again, I've spent the time building a base, a good foundation to where it looks decent if I walk around like this. I'm definitely not the biggest dude, but I don't consider myself like, you know, I don't feel small and feeble around other people who lift either. So I could very well do that. Now, personally, like I said, I still have goals that I want to hit. I still have changes that I want to make. So that's why I'm definitely still going to be in a surplus whenever I'm in my off season, not on powerlifting prep. But I simply lean bulk, so that way I still keep it lean. I won't be even as lean as I am right now, but I'll still be relatively lean. So that's it, guys. That's how you stay lean all year round. Not shredded, but lean. It's simply a matter of building enough muscle mass to where when you get to a certain amount of maintenance level calories, you still look the way that you want. You look nice and lean, but you still like, you know, you look full, you look decent, you don't look completely depleted, but you're not like on a mega surplus to where you look like, you know, you're carrying a bunch of extra water weight and fat as well. That's all you gotta do, guys. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you did. If you did not, leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to get better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch y'all later.